Welcome to another video on football player ratings. My name is Lars Magnus, and in this video we will look at the contributions from a paper written by Arntzen and myself and published in 2021. In a previous video we discussed the paper written by Pantuso and myself. There we introduced a plus-minus rating to evaluate individual players in football. I refer you to that video for details on the rating system itself. In this paper by Arntzen and myself, we also used the plus-minus ratings from the previous paper, but with a different goal in mind. There are essentially two research questions covered in the paper. One is, among two different methods to predict match outcomes in football, which method is better? Here we talk about one method that has been used frequently in the literature, known as ordered logit regression, and a new method that is based on survival analysis and competing risks. The other research question is, when predicting match outcomes, is it helpful to use both team ratings in the form of an ELO rating and individual player ratings? That is, does the plus-minus rating contain information beyond what is captured in a team rating? This was interesting to me because one of the criticisms that I've heard about plus-minus ratings is that they don't really capture the performance of the players, but rather capture the performance of the team. And this criticism is not easy to dismiss unless we actually test it. To predict match outcomes, we investigated two methods. We are not going to cover the details of them in this video, as they are both fairly heavy to digest, and I prefer to focus on the insights learned about plus-minus ratings. However, the first one, ordered logit regression, has the idea of directly estimating the probability that a match will end in a home win, a draw, or an away win. That is, based on some input variables, the output is the probabilities for each of the three possible outcomes of a match. The second model, which is based on survival analysis and competing risks, works differently. Here the model tries to estimate scoring rates for each team. That is, in a given situation, how long do we have to wait until the home team scores, and how long do we have to wait until the away team scores? Then, these scoring rates can be used to predict match outcomes by using simulations. To evaluate the quality of the predictions made, we use two different loss functions. These are known by different names, but we use Li as a shorthand for informational loss and Lq as a shorthand for quadratic loss. Both provide a measure that is lower for better predictions. That is, they consider the predictions Pj for each outcome j, and compare them to the actual outcomes, here denoted by dj, where dj is equal to 1 if outcome j happened, and dj is equal to 0 if outcome j did not happen. Both loss functions are proper scoring rules. That is, if you want to minimize the expected value of the loss, you should provide the true probabilities pj. To evaluate the prediction methods and the different ratings, we selected a dataset based on the English league system, with matches from all 4 divisions as well as the League Cup. We considered 10 seasons from 2009 to 2018. Here we see the top 10 highest rated teams according to ELO ratings and the top 10 highest rated players according to plus-minus ratings at the end of the 2018-2019 season. In this season, Manchester City won the league with 98 points, followed by Liverpool with 97 points. And then the next team got 72 points. So here we have the results. The inputs to the prediction models are either the difference in ELO ratings for the two teams, calculated before the start of the match, or the difference in average plus-minus ratings for the players in the starting lineups of the two teams, or both differences provided at the same time. Let us first look at the ordered logit regression model and its predictions as evaluated by the informational loss. Using ELO ratings as the only predictor gives us a benchmark. Then, using instead plus-minus ratings, we see that the loss is lower, which is better. This means that plus-minus ratings are better predictors than ELO ratings, possibly because we can exploit information from knowing the starting lineups. This is an indication that plus-minus ratings are indeed able to pick up some information about the quality of the players and not just about the team. Furthermore, This is supported by the fact that predictions made when having access to both the team rating and the player ratings are even better. It seems that team ratings and player ratings are actually representing different insights. Now, if we instead look at the quadratic loss for the ordered logit regression, the relationships are exactly the same. And finally, if we instead use a different prediction method, the competing risk model, again, the relationships are the same for both loss functions. We may also see that the quality of predictions do not vary much between the two prediction methods. Instead, the quality of predictions is much more dependent on whether we use team ratings, player ratings, or both. We can look closer at the prediction models using both team and player ratings. After estimating these models, we get coefficients that tell us something about how much a change in ELO ratings or how much a change in plus-minus ratings influence the predicted match outcomes. The important part here is to check that the effect is reasonable, in the right direction, and statistically significant. The effect is statistically significant if the coefficient is sufficiently different from 0, and the p-value over here should then be small. The direction of the effect is reasonable if, for example, a better rating for the home team indicates a higher scoring rate for the home team and a lower scoring rate for the away team. We saw that the competing risk model based on survival analysis performed very similarly to the ordered logit regression model when predicting match results. However, we can extend the competing risk model in several ways, and it can also be used to make predictions in-game. That is, we can update predictions after the match has started. Regarding extensions, we considered also predicting red cards to either team, and not just goals, and the fact that scoring rates may change depending on the current goal difference. This new model contains a lot more coefficients that must be estimated. Not all of these are statistically significant, but could their overall effect nevertheless lead to improved predictions? The answer is yes and no. In terms of making predictions before the match has started, the extended model performs the same as the simple model. However, later in the match, when red cards or the current goal difference may have a bigger impact, the extended model does provide better predictions. With the extended competing risk model, we can illustrate how the probabilities of different match outcomes vary during a match. Here, illustrated on a match between Carlisle and Bury from 2019. Before the match started, winning probabilities were fairly equal for both teams. However, Carlisle scored an early goal, increasing their winning probability significantly. Then, Bury equalized, returning the probabilities to approximately the starting point. Then comes a period where not much happens in terms of goals, which in this case leads to the probability of a draw increasing. Just before halftime, Bury scores, and then Carlisle gets a player sent off. The situation now looks dire for Carlisle, with only a small chance of making a comeback. However, the second half starts and Carlisle gets an early goal, equalizing the score. Then, nothing happens for a long period, again increasing the probability that the match will peter out with a draw. But then, just before 90 minutes played, Carlisle gets another goal, and with only overtime left, has a great chance for winning the match, which they do. The paper was written without using colors, but of course, such illustrations look better when not being limited to grey. Thus, we include another example where Chelsea were huge favourites against Burnley, but ended up with a red card and 3 goals against in the first half. Another red card and 2 goals of their own did not change the final outcome in this case, and Burnley got away with the win. Note how the first red card to Chelsea had a significant effect, while the second red card hardly mattered at all, since the match was almost settled at that point in time. So let us summarize what we learned from this paper. First, plus-minus ratings are not just representing the performance of the team. They bring additional information beyond what is captured by team ratings. Second, we can use plus-minus ratings and ELO ratings in combination to make in-game match predictions. Probably the betting markets make better in-game predictions, though, but we can nevertheless use this as a tool to look at past matches and see exactly how surprising certain events were.